you were never told the complete truth. From the moment you learned to walk, you were trained to believe discipline was about trying harder, waking up early, making lists, pushing through laziness, as if routines and surface-level order could fix the deeper fractures within. But the foundation has always been the issue. Surface rituals do not repair what is broken underneath, as if the surface could heal the fractures buried beneath the foundation. But no planner can organize a mind ruled by chaos. No alarm clock can conquer an untrained will. No routine can survive without internal order. Here is the brutal truth. Discipline is not about motivation. It is not about how many productivity hacks you have memorized. Discipline is war, and not the kind fought with swords or strategies drawn on maps, but the invisible war waged inside your mind every single day. It is the war between your higher self and the parts of you that settles for comfort. The part that wants to build, to rise, to dominate your path versus the part that whispers, maybe later. Every day, your impulses draw their weapons. Distraction sharpens its blades. Temptation plots its ambush. Fear readies its siege. And your mind, it becomes the battlefield. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this war better than anyone. He did not write for comfort. He wrote to reveal the mechanics of power, internal and external. And through his lens, discipline was not framed as a virtue or a moral obligation. Discipline was essential for survival. It was the sole barrier separating order from chaos. In The Prince, he wrote, must govern not only the kingdom outside, but the kingdom within. The moment he abandons discipline, he invites his own ruin, not from invaders, but from the gaps in his own defenses. And what is your life if not a kingdom? You may not wear a crown, but your mind governs your world. Your attention directs your action. Your habits build or destroy your foundation. And most people, they live like collapsing cities, where walls, authority, and rigid order are reimagined. Every emotion is embraced, and distractions serve as catalysts for innovation. They are ruled not by strategy, but by whatever impulse knocks the loudest. They don't realize without discipline, there is no freedom. Without inner order, there is no strength. Without governance of the self, there is only defeat disguised as peace. So remember this. Either you become the ruler of your own mind, or you will be ruled. To understand discipline through the eyes of Niccolò Machiavelli, you must first let go of what you have been taught. This is not about morning rituals, not about feeling inspired to take action when your day feels aligned. Machiavelli did not write about discipline as a habit. He wrote about it as a weapon. He understood that discipline is the skeletal structure that holds power upright. It is not decorative. It is the spine of sovereignty, and without it, even the most gifted, intelligent, or well-meaning individuals crumble. Because power without structure collapses under its own weight. Machiavelli's world was not soft. It was filled with betrayal, pressure, and danger. His advice to leaders was forged in fire. Keep your strategies intact, especially when emotion screams at you to abandon them. When fear rises, when anger burns, that is when the average man falls and the disciplined one stands still, calculating, patient, and prepared. He believed that the greatest enemy a prince faces is not always external. The true downfall often comes from within, when impulse takes command and order is sacrificed for emotional reaction. A prince who cannot control his own instincts is more dangerous to himself than any army at his gates. And the same principle applies to you. You do not need to rule a kingdom to understand this. You already do your life, your time, your energy. If your internal world lacks governance, then your external results will reflect that disorder. Machiavelli warned that the strategy must remain when storms arise. A disciplined leader holds the course not because it is easy, but because he cannot afford not to, and neither can you. When you abandon discipline in favor of comfort, distraction, or emotion, you are not postponing your potential. You are surrendering it. You may not feel it at first, but then the consequences appear: broken promises, mounting regret. The war was not lost in one moment. It was lost in the small, repeated betrayals of discipline. In The Prince, Machiavelli states, "For just as the good order of the militias is the origin of good order in the states, discipline is what enables a city or an army to withstand adversities." Replace militias with your routines, and replace city with your mind. Without that order, nothing holds. You either enforce command over your thoughts, or your thoughts will command you. And when that happens, you are no longer a leader in your own life. You are a servant to whatever emotion happens to speak the loudest. Machiavelli saw the soul, not as a sanctuary, but as a stronghold, not a temple admired, but a fortress guarded. He saw the inner life as a battlefield and discipline. As its only defense, his writings on order were not only advice. For military generals, they were psychological truths, dressed in the armor of war. He knew this deeply. An army with nobility is worthless without order. Bravery without structure is chaos. Passion without preparation is suicide. Picture this moment. An army is summoned to the front lines, but there are no drills, no formations, no leadership structure. Only a crowd of men with weapons and nerves marching into uncertainty. What happens first? When arrows fly, they scatter. When exhaustion sets in, they retreat. When fear takes hold, they break. No strategy, no cohesion, no chance. Machiavelli saw failure, not just in battles, but in human lives. He saw the same collapse, not in war zones, but in the mind. People setting goals without any system, people making promises without preparation, people facing life's storms with only spontaneity and emotion. He called it out with precision. The orders of a captain are not obeyed by undisciplined soldiers. This was not just a military critique, it was a reflection of your own mind. You are the captain, but if your thoughts are undisciplined, if your impulses run wild, if your focus retreats under pressure, then your goals are meaningless. Because no matter what your strategy promises, if your inner soldiers do not obey, the battle is already lost. How many times have you resolved to act only to sabotage it yourself? How many plans have you created only to retreat? At the first discomfort, you did not fail. Due to lack of intelligence, you failed because your mental army deserted you. Machiavelli believed this. A small trained force could defeat a larger disordered one. The same truth lives within you. A few strong thoughts, disciplined and clear, can overpower thousands of scattered desires. You do not need to master everything. You only need to master command. Because when fatigue comes, and it always will, your instincts will either hold the line or abandon their post. Here is the quiet truth most people ignore. Your defeats rarely come from outside forces. They begin the moment your discipline collapses, the morning you sleep instead of rising, the task you delay. Just for today, the emotion you obey instead of the plan. Each moment feels small, but they are tactical retreats. Eventually, your kingdom falls. If you want to win, not once but repeatedly, you must train your mind like an elite force. That means structure, that means strategy, without apology. Your thoughts must align, your emotions must yield, your routines must serve for a greater plan. And when battle strikes, life ambushes you, or uncertainty surrounds you, you will not break. You will hold the line because discipline is no longer something you do. It is something you are. There are two forces that shape your life. One within you, and one that arrives without warning. Machiavelli named them virtù and fortuna. Virtù is not virtue in the moral sense. It is not kindness. It is the power to act, the strength to shape, the resilience to resist weakness. Virtù is an internal command. It is the ability to see a storm coming and standing still, to hear the voice of doubt and move anyway, to carve a path where there is none. And then there is Fortuna. Fortuna is the river, the flood, the chaos that sweeps away the unprepared. It is chance. It is the wildness of life, unpredictable, relentless, and completely indifferent to your dreams. Machiavelli didn't romanticize it. He didn't pretend that the world rewards those who wait. In The Prince, he wrote, "Fortune is like one of those impetuous rivers that, when they become enraged, flood the plains. But although they are thus furious, this does not prevent men in times of calm from taking precautions with dikes and barriers. The wise do not wait for the flood to come. They build with discipline because virtù is the internal power, not born in comfort. It is forged by preparation. It is the mindset of the builder, the strategist, the warrior, who does not beg Fortuna for a blessing he prepares for her wrath. This is the truth few want to hear. Luck is not coming to save you. No perfect moment is arriving. No external force will deliver the life you want into your hands. You must create the internal force strong enough to shape outcomes when others drown in them. That is virtù, and it is built when you no longer blame, no longer wait, no longer wish. It is built when you choose to train your mind to anticipate chaos, to resist collapse, and to act without the illusion that the universe owes you anything. Most people are governed by Fortuna. They ride the wave of mood, emotion, circumstance. When things go well, they rise. When life turns and they collapse, they are governed by virtù. They do not wait for conditions to improve. They improve themselves until conditions bend. Because when discipline becomes identity and virtù becomes your nature, even the flood has to wait for you to pass. Modern discipline has been sterilized. What once was a code of survival, a brutal internal structure designed to withstand the chaos of life, has been rebranded into something soft, marketable, and easy to swallow. We have traded depth for dopamine. It is sold in digital planners and wellness apps, wrapped in positive affirmations and mood-tracking templates, packaged like a product, not practiced like a war. They tell you, just build the right habits, automate your goals, as if the oldest battle known to man, the war against the self, could be solved with a notification reminder. Machiavelli would laugh if he was alive today. To him, discipline was not a series of habits or clever systems. It was vigilance, the willingness to do what is necessary even when it feels uncomfortable. He would say, modern discipline has been domesticated. It becomes emotional, conditional. People act when they feel like it. They follow structure only when their mood agrees. They confuse momentum with mastery, and so they fail. They build routines only to abandon them after a bad day. They commit to change, but make excuses when stress hits. They treat failure as feedback, never as a warning. We are taught to be gentle with ourselves, and yes, there is wisdom in recovery, but many have mistaken recovery for avoidance. They have built lives around justifying their softness. But Machiavellian discipline does not care how you feel. It does not wait for the right moment. It does not respond to motivation. Life does not reward effort. It rewards execution, and execution demands internal law. You must become the ruler of your own conduct, not the victim of your circumstance. Not a citizen in the democracy of your emotions, and rulers enforce structure. The modern world praises self-love, but rarely tells you the truth. Loving yourself is not always gentle. Sometimes it looks like denying comfort. Sometimes it looks like holding yourself to a standard no one else dares to mention. While others are tracking habits, you are shaping identity. While others wait to feel ready, you have already begun. While others seek approval, you enforce command. Because the goal is not to feel good. The goal is to build something unbreakable. Discipline is not software. It is not a productivity trend. It is the steel you hammer into your spine every morning. And if you don't choose that, then something else will rule you. Mood, distraction, emotion, soft forces with sharp consequences. So ask yourself, is your discipline real, or is it just an aesthetic? If you want to build real discipline, not the kind that flickers under pressure, but the kind that holds through storms, you must build like Machiavelli would. Not with comfort, not with emotion, but with structure, with strategy. Because discipline that survives is not an accident. It is designed, it is enforced. It must move from being something you do to something you are. You can no longer afford to wake up and ask, what do I feel like doing today? That question is the anthem of the undisciplined. Instead, you wake up with orders already given. Orders that came from the highest part of you, the ruler within, when your mind was calm and clear. This is how unbreakable discipline begins, with a system forged in the cold clarity of strategy, not the soft heat of inspiration. Machiavelli would outline 3 principles, and if you want your discipline to last, you must master them all. Principle 1, constant vigilance. You are not just a thinker, you are a commander. Every day you must inspect your mental territory. Where did you hesitate? Where did weakness creep in unnoticed? Treat each deviation like a crack in your fortress wall. Small today, fatal tomorrow. Discipline begins with awareness, with brutal honesty, and with the refusal to ignore even the smallest breach. Principle 2, strategic routine. Routines are not rituals. They are military formations. They remove uncertainty. They eliminate debate. They transform discipline from decision into default. Your routine is your standing army. If you have to ask yourself each day whether you will train, read, write, or work you have already lost, your emotions will always try to negotiate. And emotion is a terrible negotiator. So set the times. Fix the standards. Execute them without question. Rigid structure is not a prison. It is freedom from internal war. Principle 3, relentless reinforcement. You cannot build discipline without consequence. In war, failure costs lives. In life, it costs time, potential, and sovereignty. You must treat your discipline like sacred law. And when you break it, there must be a cost. Make it public. Make it painful. Make it unforgettable. The point is not cruelty. It is clarity. Your mind must understand. Disobedience has a price. Machiavelli knew that people obey where consequences are real. And the same is true within you. So ask yourself this. Is your mind a disciplined fortress or an open field, vulnerable to every passing mood? Are your routines a standing army or scattered thoughts pretending to be structured? This is not about being harsh. This is about being sovereign. Because if you do not govern yourself with strength, life will govern you with chaos. Now comes the moment of truth. You have crossed a landscape of ancient truths and modern illusions. You have seen what happens when discipline becomes optional. You have seen what is at stake when strategy is left to emotion. So now, you stand at the crossroads, the same crossroads every ruler, every soldier, every builder of legacy must face. Do you govern your life, or do you continue being governed by it? Machiavelli did not write to console the average. He wrote to awaken the strategist within, the builder of structure in a world built on chaos. He never promised comfort. He promised clarity and the courage to face what most avoid, that you are either enforcing your path or being pushed along one that was never yours. Most people will listen to this and nod. They will agree. They will feel stirred, and then they will return to their habits, to their tomorrows, to the soft rhythm of disorder that has already claimed so much of their potential. But a few will stop. They will stare their comfort in the face and reject it. They will realize there is no perfect moment and waiting is the enemy. They will choose to act, not because they feel ready, but because they understand that waiting to feel ready is what has kept them enslaved. So ask yourself, not passively, but brutally, how much longer will you negotiate with your own weakness? How many more times will you excuse your surrender as self-compassion? How many dreams will you forfeit because your routines collapse under mood? You have seen the truth. And truth demands response. Machiavelli said, "A prince who waits for the perfect moment to act will be destroyed by the first misfortune." The moment you are in is not perfect, but it is available. And that is enough. So write it, not for the algorithm, not for applause, but for your future self, for the part of you that has waited, and the part of you that's done waiting. Let this be the first real act of discipline, the act of choosing to begin. Every transformation begins the same way, a single, non-negotiable decision. If this touched something in you, a subscribe goes a long way. It truly means the world to us.